The following video contains spoilers. We suggest watching the episodes alone in the dark. Rise and shine, catastrophe. It's time for your daily dose of suffering. Oh, cat. Wake up! Oh, I'm still here. Still kicking. Unfortunately. Well, kitty, it seems we've played quite the round of horrible Goosebumps critiques, turning your followers against you. So, how about a change of scenery? Let's get back on the downslide in your favorite zone. Pfft, another atrocious 2000s Twilight Zone remake? Bring it, Thundercatter. I can get gold material on that. Oh, I know you would. Which is why I figured something more painful would break that spirit. I found a brutal garbage horror remake of something you love. And the cherry on top is that it's the worst episode of the good reboot. No, please, dear Celestia, you don't mean... Oh, hell yeah, a craptacular remake on your favorite Twilight Zone tale. A game of pool. No, I won't do it. You hear me? You son of a bitch, I won't bow to your clawful game. You know it's never going away until you review it, catastrophe. You're stuck in there until you conquer it. A Game of Pool is one of my all-time favorite Twilight Zone fables. This is easily one of the greatest epics of Rod Serling's classic. Two guys with troubled woes, whose lives revolve around the game of billiards, partake in the ultimate life or death pool round, sharing personal trials and revealing more about themselves as they learn valuable life lessons on how obsession and competitive drive can corrupt your soul. How there's a huge difference between happiness and desire, and a solid moral over how winning isn't everything. It's a very low-key supernatural fable, yet one which is very deep, thanks to its mature storytelling and wise message. Jonathan Winters and Jack Klugman both deliver excellent performances as the two opponents, displaying heavy emotions and uniqueness as two polar opposites duking it out in a bottle episode. The original Game of Pool is iconic and dazzled me with the quality, greatness, and magic one could only find in the Twilight Zone.
As long as they speak your name, you continue. A legend doesn't die just because the man does.
So naturally, some idiot exec said, hey, let's remake that, but worse! Yeah, it turns out the 2000s reboots were not the only shows which failed at recapturing the glory days of our black and white legend. The 80s Twilight Zone also sucked so horribly at remakes too, failing to grasp why the good episodes were good to begin with, and taking it in directions that were not nearly as satisfying to watch.
You're raping him! I can't watch! Let's get out of here, Kyle!
A Game of Pool obviously got remade, and ruined itself, almost as badly as Eye of the Beholder and Maple Street in my mind. This is that bad. I can only presume the 80s reboot even remade the Billiards Bash at all, was due to how low budget and easy it would be, since it's simply two guys queuing off in a game room, bantering back and forth. It seems easy, but they failed to see it was too easy. I'm sure this'll totally surprise you, but the remake was a colossal fail with viewers.
Oh my god, no way!
G2, A Game of Pool, was not as well received as the original, had lots of letdowns, weaker actors, did not replicate any of the emotion or atmosphere a black and white film had, barely does too much to differentiate itself from the first one, and left no impact despite carrying the profound life lesson. Heck, even Linkara considers this one of the reboot's worst entries ever.
The remake of A Game of Pool has probably the most problems problems, from bad casting to bad music choices.
Suffice to say, it's another footnote in the long, long line of garbage horror remakes we horror fans suffer. But we're here to see why it won its infamous title, and see where things scratch the table. So grab your pool cues and place your bets, because we're playing a little game of fate. This is Cat's Wacky Riffview on a remake as infamous as Elm Street, the 80s, A Game of Pool. So, our episode opens up at Where Else? A local pool hall, where as the bar closes up, we meet our main character, Jesse Cardiff, Pool Shark, the best on Randolph Street. Exactly like Jack Klugman's role, Jesse is an amateur pool player who wants to be the very best, like no one ever was. The zone is his real test, his training is his cause. Mr. Cardiff has dedicated his entire existence playing billiards, as he seeks to be the game's champion player, worshipped by all as #1, and no longer seen as some punk kid.
Baseball, call the pocket.
However, in spite of spending all his time pro gaming for years, he's still not seen as superior over the long-dead champ Fats Brown. He's the real MVP who earned his title, and has yet to have his winning record defeated.
He was #1.
Jesse has become bitter because he desires to prove he's superior now that his pool XP is S level, but this being the Twilight Zone, he may gain his wish. And we instantly reach one of the biggest negatives that wrecks this remake. Jesse's acting sucks.
An impossible shot, but I made it. The right stuff, the right draw, perfect position. And what do I get? Fats Brown, well, I'm sick of it. It was great. I'd give anything to play in one game. You're lying. You're trying to distract me.
Like, wow. Just wow. Even if you never saw the black and white oldie, this performance is plain awful. Believe it or not, Jesse's played by Slade from Titans, a guy who genuinely is a decent actor, as he has done a lot of great roles outside this, but you would never guess that seeing his early work here. Esai Morales hams it up and overacts to the extreme. He tries way too hard at copying Jack Klugman's version, which only comes across as super cartoony and doofy. In the original, despite having a huge ego and anger probs, Jesse was an ultra-serious athlete who you can actually sympathize with, as playing pool was a hobby which engulfed his life, and was sadly all he had. He is very skilled, but lost sight of the fun of pool. Remake Jesse comes across as a bratty, arrogant, angsty teen who's always yelling his lines, acting smug, and overplays his emotions. Yes, he's a young punk teen now, but he feels less like a lost youth and more like GBF.
I'd show you who's best.
Now who holds that record again? Oh yeah, me!
Despite granting Cardiff an age lift, it's clear the show wants Morales to recreate Klugman's persona, yet the actor totally bombs at Jesse's heavy scenes.
When I was a kid, I knew a lot of guys like you. Guys who were good at things like music and arithmetic and basketball. Guys who would do anything to make me feel about that big.
But you fooled him, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I did, that's right.
You're like all the others. You keep trying to bring me down. When I was a kid, there were plenty of guys like you. Guys that were good at things. Like music, basketball, arithmetic. They'd do everything they could to make me feel this high.
One of these kids is not like the other. One of these kids is dead.
Sorry, Morales, but now we see why he never brings this role up.
I don't need no challenge.
Things don't get better when we meet our new challenger. Jesse is spending another night alone at the pool hall, bragging how he can totally win against his old hero, but just needs a chance to face him, where, thanks to that Twilight Zone magic, the ghost of Fats Brown arrives to fight. Very abruptly. Okay, this is admittedly a small nitpick, nitpick, but I hate this intro to Fats compared to the old one. In the G1 show, Fats got this epic ghost intro where he's literally summoned out of heaven to face Jesse and appears to him in a spooky teleport, ready for battle. In the remake, he just pops up sitting in a chair going, "What's up?" It's so hilariously nonchalant that you'd probably mistake him as a normal dude, not a ghost. A real lack of dramatic flair. But yeah, Fats is a ghost, which you can't tell since they never show you he's a ghost until the end. Regardless, he's here to take up Jesse's challenge, the ultimate pool game to prove who's number one.
You called?
But you're dead?
Sadly, the remake purges the scenes of Fats being from heaven and leaving his clouds due to not wanting to offend all the non-Judeo-Christians out there, as they wanted to make him more ominous here, which is both a blessing and a curse. Fats rose from the grave to take on Jesse's challenge, but wants to spice things up with a wager. Just like in the OG, they play for life and death.
Well, here we go again, partner.
If Jesse can best him in the ball game, then he achieves his dreams, being the god-tier pool player of the universe. But if he loses, then Jesse dies. I said it in my rapid fire review, but I'll repeat it. I love this concept, since it's so crazy and riveting that you cannot have some fun with how this tale plays with it. There's very high stakes, but also sense of wonder and amazement, as these two souls play a ridiculous game, Willis slowly revealing more about themselves. Tragically, this idea is not fully utilized here, and absolutely drowned out by the exact same issue mentioned prior. The acting sucks. Fats Brown is a horrid actor, to the point that he totally bastardizes all charm and soul this dude had in the original Nightmare. You know how I cried about Jesse overacting? Well, Fats' actor suffers the opposite problem. He underplays it and sounds so emotionless, when Fats is meant to be this playful trickster mentor towards Cardiff. It sucks because this guy acts like he just doesn't care, has no feelings, and ruins a character who grows likable through the original plotline. This Fats is so lifeless.
Now, I know it's a shock, but you called me, I didn't call you. Look, I come a long way. I don't like to be fooled with. I meet guys like you all the time. A little knack, a little skill, a little style. As long as people speak your name, you continue. The legend doesn't die because the man does.
In the OG, Fats Brown was played by legendary comedian Jonathan Winters, who brought so much soul and charisma to our champion gamer, making him one of the most amusing ghosts from the saga. Maury Chaykin, the G2 Fats, is actually a character actor who's been in a ton of great things, like The Mask of Zorro, My Cousin Vinny, War Games, and Stargate SG-1. So he actually can act, but like Morales, you'd never guess that the way he's shown here. Fats Brown was a snarky jerk with a heart of gold, but since the remake wants him to be more serious and spooky, it drains him of all personality, turning him boring. This is such a painful miscast that you don't buy this guy as the mysterious eccentric trickster mentor, which Winters greatly brought to life. It's cringe watching him.
You know something, Jesse? There's more to life than this pool hall. I took time out to live, too. When I think of the wonderful things there are to see and to do, it hurts me to see you rotting your life away in this miserable, dark hall.
You know, Jesse, there's more to life than this pool hall. I mean, it's not right for you to keep yourself cooped up here like this. I mean, I still had a life. I mean, I've been to places where they never even heard of pool. I know. I don't look the part, but I've made love. And when I think of all the beautiful things that there are to do in this world, it hurts me to see you rotting away.
This episode sucks because both our actors suck. They are so goofy, laughable, and share zero chemistry whatsoever, which is only made worse because if it wasn't obvious, this episode is nearly a shot-for-shot remake like Eye of the Beholder is, but with bad actors butchering classic content.
Just what kind of stakes are you talking about?
Life or death.
What?
This is my serious face.
And they say I'm the torture master. Jesse and Fats simply aren't portrayed very well, and you will absolutely forget that this duo was iconic in the old version. As you can guess, they play the ultimate deathmatch in a bottle episode. Will is trading personal tales to display both their personas, or lack thereof.
All my life I've waited for this moment. Sink it, and I beat you. I become the greatest.
I feel like I'm gonna blow chunks of birdseed.
The botched betrayal of the characters is a big issue, since Fats Brown is meant to be this ghostly, if mischievous, wise elder who challenges both Jesse's skills, along with his cocky, hotshot obsession with winning, making Cardiff question if being number one is truly worth it after all he's done to get this far. While Jesse himself slowly cracks under his ego, gains a sore competitive tood over winning, and we start to understand how sad he really is deep down. Jesse has an inferiority complex, and he's too attached to pool because he thinks it's the only thing he's good at.
I knew that somewhere there was something I could be good at. One day I picked up a cue. I asked an old man. He was sitting right over there, right there. I said, you want to play, mister? And I beat him. The first time I ever played him, and I beat him.
Essentially, Jesse gets called out on wasting his life and learns how he should value more in life over being number one, as there's always going to be someone better than you, and we should cherish our time on a variety of elements because we only live once. A beautiful lesson, naturally. Sadly, like Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor, it misses the mark.
You've never seen me play. How you know I can't beat you?
The game itself also feels less intense than the old combat. The billiards tournament was super vital, containing both a sense of impending doom and on-the-edge fun. Alas, the actors ruin it because it feels like they keep mugging for screen time.
You'll never know till you risk everything.
Stop pushing!
Being scene for scene in the first two acts, Fats slowly begins to win, but even that feels mediocre. In the old version, it's a huge holy crap moment when Brown unleashes his full power, as it's revealed he was toying with Jesse the whole time, and picks up points. However, it rings totally hollow on here, because Fats doesn't have his misleading crouching moron, hidden badass persona like Winners did. Heck, they even delete the montage of the gameplay going on to condense it all, undercutting lots of tension.
We're gonna need a montage. A sports training montage.
Oh, no, you don't.
Yeah, why would we ever hope the pool game feels epic in a game of pool? Thanks to the lack of chemistry, both Jesse and Fats' back and forth banter is also significantly weaker. Jesse only acts like a bratty teenage douche bro with none of his tragic side properly displayed, while Fats is so boring. He looks constantly tired and constipated. The remake Fats Brown feels more like he takes playing pool too seriously over the competition freak. I don't get how the crew never saw this guy's acting as an issue. Fats Brown was a likable spirit because he was a friendly opponent, who, while trolling Jesse, also had fun. He liked playing pool, but his character reveals that he wants to enjoy life again, and learned that he desired gaming with friends over treating them as rivals. Fats and Jesse were total yin and yang personality-wise, making them cool. However, Maury's lousy acting makes him too serious. He doesn't come across like a friendly angel revealing a softer side like Winners. This Fats sounds like a condescending parent, talking down to Jesse over how he needs to grow up. It's so joyless.
You didn't become the best by sitting on a park bench. You spent plenty of time with the cue in your hands.
Yeah, of course I did, but I still had a life.
Yeah, Jesse, go outside, touch grass, you loser. As if this dude's performance wasn't bad enough, the new direction for Fats makes him way meaner, to the point where he doesn't feel like a jerk with a heart of gold. He's just as big a jerk as man-child Cardiff.
You did that on purpose. You made me miss!
A little gamesmanship, a little pressure, and you come apart. That's kid stuff. To break your concentration, you go wild.
I'm an old bastard!
I want to give the episode some credit for casting Jesse as a younger kid over a grown adult, but sadly, the age lift kind of cheapens the character arc he has. Remake Cardiff seems way too young to have wasted his life on pool games. I think hiring the older Klugman made this work because his age tells you how long he's been doing this, and adds to the tragedy of how much time he did waste. Whereas the teenage Jesse doesn't quite feel like he's a pathetic wash-up yet.
If you can't take care of a turtle, how are you supposed to take care of a baby?
I'm not. I'm 5.
Exactly. So keep it in your pants, mister.
All this just reveals more evidence that the crew did not fully understand what made these characters tick. But at last, we make it to the final round, where Jesse just has to make the final shot to win by a single point in order to best Fatso. Mr. Brown attempts to warn Jesse that being number 1 ain't all it's cracked up to be, as it has not brought him deep satisfaction. But our main man is too smug to listen. Before we reach our moment of truth, we do have to pause, so I can warn you that we also reach the one major moment that differentiates the remake from the original, the finale. Believe it or not, there was actually an alternate ending for the first game of Cool Script, which was vastly different than the one we got in the 50s. The original author, George Clayton Johnson, actually had a rough draft of the ending planned, but ended up scrapping it entirely in favor of the fantastical one we actually got. However, the remake uses that alternate ending for their version in order to play out the original vision we almost had. If you somehow never enjoyed the classic game of pool, then this is the difference in endings. On the G1 version, Jesse scores the winning point, and at long last achieves his dream of besting Fats Brown. However, his victory came at a cost. It turns out Fats Brown was attempting to push him away from being number 1 and help him see beyond their little game, because Jesse now has to take his place, protecting his champ title for all eternity. Cardiff ends up in the same position Fats has grown tired of, a ghostly champion who must spend his entire existence playing pool and accepting challenges to maintain his number 1 spot from every noob in the universe forever and ever. Fats was only trying to warn him that it's a lonely waste of a life, because it's all he'll ever be known for, and he can't enjoy the afterlife until somebody beats his high score. Jesse's achievement was a Pyrrhic victory. He beats Fats and officially becomes best pool player in the universe, but after he himself dies, now spends all fruitless eternity defending his new title, having done nothing else in his life. A bittersweet ending teaching us all that victory isn't always worth its high price. The alternate ending shares a similar lesson, but there's a reason why the writer scrapped it. In the remake, Jesse loses. He fails, is not the champ, and Fats remains number 1.
Oh!
Yeah, Jesse epic fails the life and death trial, but it is sinfully unimpressive. Jesse prepares to die, only winning our twist ending. Fats reveals, nah, he's not really going to kill him. It was all a trick.
What?
Yeah, he lied to convince Jesse to play his hardest and see if he was truly talented. Fats had no reason to kill him because it's metaphorical. The only thing that would die are Jesse's dreams.
You said if I'd won, I'd live. If I'd lost, I'd die.
And you will, as all second-raters die. You'll be buried and forgotten without me touching you.
Lame.
Yes, for realsies, this is our dumb twist. Jesse isn't dead, his career is dead. He lost his one shot to best his hero, and now he's going to die a forgotten loser. His lifetime efforts were all in vain. Yeah, there's a reason why the original writer threw this ending away. Because he hated it due to it being frickin' stupid. George Clayton Johnson absolutely despised his first ending, as he thought it was a lame letdown which cheapened his story. Speaking of which, this twist is a lame letdown which cheapens the story. It totally breaks the moral completely. This was a cautionary tale about how obsession and competitive douchiness ruins your life, as Fats wanted to be at peace and do other things in his afterlife, while Jesse learns too late how winning isn't everything, as his hobby consumes his soul. Here, nobody learns anything or even changes from when we started. Fats goes back to heaven, still clinging to his smothering title, while Jesse rage quits and decides to continue wasting his life again by playing pool to ready himself for a rematch sometime in the future, which might never happen, and refusing to let go. Nothing changes, and none of the deep debates or life lessons get absorbed at all. That's seriously how it ends.
Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time, on the earth as we know it, and in the Twilight Zone.
And that's the infamous remake on A Game of Pool. More like so lame it's poo, cause exactly like Slade, it fumbles the shot. If you're new to the horror community, then here's a description which you totes won't ever hear often. This is a terrible remake, which totally fails to recapture the original's magic in every way, because nobody grasps why it was a masterpiece. The cast and crew clearly understand what made this storyline great, but it fails to understand why it was great. I know I sound like a broken MP3 player, but it can't be ignored. The acting's horrendous. Neither of our leads take these two tragic lost souls seriously. Deathstroke overacts to cartoony degrees as Jesse, to the point where you never feel for him or even like him like you do the washed up bum Klugman, while Maury lacks all human emotion as a larger-than-life spirit advisor, with both a cynical sassy streak and a sense of charisma hidden underneath his rough exterior, making the trickster ghost feel more like a robot undergoing a reboot.
Any man can be a marksman if the target doesn't shoot back.
The bad performances absolutely sink this ship, because A Game of Pool is meant to be a fascinating character study of two arrogant gamers slowly being humanized in a one-on-one match with an epic sense of dread in a life and death match for the ages. Because our main leads fail to convey that, you're left so unimpressed by what occurs in this, and the director fails to make the ultimate Mortal Kombat carry any dramatic weight.
Did you see that, fat boy?
The fact that this is mostly a shot-for-shot remake for 2/3 of the arc makes it worse, because the small changes don't separate it enough, due to trying to copy the past's epicness. This entire episode feels like a kid cheating in school by copying somebody else's hard work. Sure, they get the ideas correctly, but the kid ultimately fails to gain any knowledge on the subject or express their own skills. Not helping matters is that the one element which the filmmakers rely on to make their bad take different is also a silver bullet shot in their own foot: the ending. There's a reason why the writer himself deleted this deleted scene. The twist soils everything we see in the adventure, because this cautionary fable about how we shouldn't waste our lives on pointless empty endeavors ends on the main characters doing just that, wasting their lives going back stuck in their rut. Jesse starts out as a cocky jerk wasting his life, and ends his arc as the same cocky jerk wasting his life on a game, while Fats is the one stuck playing idiot noobs until the day Earth dies, and fails to gain any impact as a person like Winners, who was finally laid to peace and thrilled he lost to a worthy opponent. Not to mention the whole "it's metaphorical" life versus death drains so much tension on rewatches. The original game of pool is one of the greatest tales I've ever seen of the Twilight Zone, because it's such an insightful, deep, and charming tale over how winning isn't fulfilling, and life should be about having fun, over playing dead serious all your life, because being up top isn't worth it when you're unhappy. The remake is a wannabe, a poser, an immature attempt at repeating somebody else's success without knowing how it worked. Jesse and Fats suck as both actors and characters. The spooky atmosphere is completely erased. It's so boring to watch. The death game is downgraded from Mortal Kombat cool to doggy do lame. The moral's nerfed, the magic's nerfed, the emotions are gone, the alternate twist ending was a bad choice, and it's simply another pitiful remake which could never catch lightning in a bottle twice. Much like Remake Jesse, it simply fails to win its glory. So, I grant this tragic 8-ball a decayed skull. It gets 1 point for some originality, yet not enough to score higher. Who would have thought we'd gain another bad Twilight Zone remake without any aid from the Forrest Whitaker or Jordan Peele reboots? A Game of Pool is such a disappointing sequel that it ironically suffers the same twist as its ending. It'll die a loser, forgotten, failing to outclass an old legend.
A legend doesn't die just because the man does.
There you go, you sadistic prick. I, Catastrophe, survived another bad egg. You happy now? Impressive, Kitten. You've lasted longer than I thought, but I won't be happy until we reach the foul fable that kills you, which should be real soon. It's working! That stupid feline is cracking. He'll be out of my hair any review now. And then this council shall be ours. Fascinating, sir. I'm sure Catalyst won't have any on his side without his techie. Enough gloating for now. What's the report, scaredy cat? All programs are fully functional. Catalyst has no idea we've cut him off from accessing this room or holodeck 1. Katana's away on guard duty. Pinky Die is out keeping watch. Big Cat Liar is here in support. I'm so supportive. All systems are at full power and fully operational. Catastrophe remains trapped and has no way of finding an escape hatch. Excellent, Scaredy. All of our hard work is paying off. Yeah. Just one small note. The holodeck has a small glitch in the grid. The room is using so much power that it could short-circuit things if someone— Is it serious? Can Catalyst or any of his suck-ups use it against me? Or us? Nope, it's within the holodeck room itself. I strongly suggest we patch it, because if this glitch is— How big is it? Not too noticeable. It's rather tiny, but if— Then it's no concern. That stupid cat is so broken, he won't ever find an eye of a needle. He can't even think straight after seeing how garbage all his favorites are. We can't break immersion now. We'll just keep him away from it. Sir, maybe it's best we— Enough, Scaredy. A minor glitch means nothing, so long as Catalyst can't use it. Even if Catastrophe finds something, he's still locked in his box. Don't stress yourself on pointless nitpicks. You sound like a reviewer. Fine, so when are we letting Pinky in? We're not. What? But isn't Pinky on our side? She agreed to all this, so long as she gets a chance to control the game. We did this for her. Pinky Die's a liability. I know how much she loves Cat, which means she'll only jeopardize our big moment. We're keeping her out of the loop so long as the reviewer lives. You know she's not going to love this. What Pinky doesn't know won't hurt her. We'll keep the lady out of our clubhouse until the hard job's done. That way we all get what we want first. This'll be our little secret which stays between us. Promise me that you won't mention this to anyone. Oh, I promise.